And welcome back, and I trust you all had that lovely little morsel that we had. Insomnia is huge today, and so is chronic fatigue syndrome. And they're separate, but in a way they're partially linked, because you don't feel very good if you have not had a good night's sleep.
In today's discussion, Barbara O'Neill will shed light on the often overlooked causes of chronic fatigue and low energy. From mold lurking in your home to the surprising role pets play in limiting your oxygen intake, Barbara will walk you through practical solutions to reclaim your vitality. She'll also touch on how wheat intolerance, poor sleep habits, and even the type of bedding you use can significantly impact your energy levels. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on future videos.
The main source of chronic fatigue syndrome, and if you will remember, when we looked at the cell, and we looked at the glucose going in, we looked at the 20-step pathway that gives us 2 units of energy, and then we looked at the 8-step pathway that gives us 36 units of energy. And the difference is oxygen. This pathway uses oxygen, this pathway does not use oxygen. So there's one cause of chronic fatigue syndrome, and it's lack of oxygen at the cellular level. Now remember, we have 75 trillion cells that run like this, and we have 25 trillion red blood cells, and it's the red blood cells that carry the oxygen. And how when you breathe in and out through your nose, the nose balances the blood gases. But there are many things that are coming in to inhibit oxygen. And that's one of the causes, or one of the many causes of chronic fatigue syndrome. Another cause of chronic fatigue syndrome can be just simply not breathing in enough fresh air. So if there's animals in the home, especially in the bedroom, you are not getting good oxygen levels in the night. I was doing a live blood analysis one day on a girl, and I saw a parasite in her blood. And I said to her, "Do you have animals in the home?" She said, "I sleep with 4 cats every night." I said, "Well, look what they've given you." So yes, I'm not against animals, but please, if you have them in the home, have them on tiled or wooden areas, and not in the kitchen, not in the eating area, and definitely not in the bedroom. Because they not only, yes, can give you parasites, but they can also inhibit the oxygen that you should be breathing in that air. So windows open as much as possible.
Barbara highlights how pets can impact oxygen levels in the home. Their presence can restrict airflow and reduce the quality of air due to dander and fur accumulation. She suggests creating pet-free zones to enhance oxygen intake and maintain a healthier living environment.
At the lung level, so the trachea, it splits and it comes down into the lungs. And these are all what they call bronchioles. And at the end of every bronchiole, it looks like a little bunch of grapes. So let me magnify that a little bit more for you. They look like this, and they're called alveoli. And it's on the alveoli that the gaseous exchange takes place. Because over every alveoli is little blood capillary networks. And these red blood cells, of course, are carrying the oxygen. Another thing that can contribute to chronic fatigue, and I've found this in about 9 out of 10 cases, is mold. See, when we're breathing in mold, our cells, a lot of them are running up here. How much energy is that giving? Not very much. And we had one lady, she was a Russian. She attended our program. She's 48. She said, when I was 42, I came to Australia. She said, I'm a scientist. And she said, within 1 year, I developed chronic fatigue syndrome. I went to the doctor, always tired, and he gave a name. What was the name he gave her? Chronic fatigue syndrome. And when you're given that name, does it help? It doesn't tell you the cause, it doesn't tell you the cures, it's just a name. She said to the doctor, do you know, I find that there's a lot of mold in my flat. He said, it's got nothing to do with it. She struggled on for another year until she heard about a doctor in Sydney that specialises in chronic fatigue syndrome. It took her a few months to be able to get into him, and the first question he asked her was, tell me about the house you live in.
Barbara emphasizes that mold in damp, poorly ventilated areas can cause fatigue by forcing cells to rely on an inefficient energy pathway. Addressing mold issues, such as inspecting for musty odors and regular cleaning, can help reclaim energy and vitality.
There's another one that I have found, and that is an intolerance or an allergy to wheat. So when the digestion cannot handle this new hybridized wheat because of its very complex structure, if the digestion's not working well, you look at the energy in the afternoon after you've eaten wheat. The energy is just gone. So bloating and brain fog, they're the two most common symptoms of an allergy to wheat. If you don't know if you have an allergy to wheat, the best way to find out is to stop.
Barbara discusses the negative effects of modern hybrid wheat on digestion, which can lead to fatigue. Wheat intolerance may divert energy resources away from energy production, resulting in tiredness and inflammation. Trying a wheat-free diet may boost energy levels.
But what I'd like to target now is sleep. So in the base of your brain, there's a little tiny gland called the pineal gland, and the pineal gland releases 4 hormones every night. Now, at the moment, because you've gone into summertime, it's releasing these hormones between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. In the wintertime, which is what Australia's going into now, it's between 9 and 2. And there are 4 hormones that are only released at that time. How come they're only released at that time? Well, light and dark signals are fed through the optic nerve to a control center in the brain where your body clock is located. And your body clock communicates with the pineal gland. It has to do with the moon, it has to do with the tides. And isn't the moon beautiful at the moment? When we were walking up the hill this morning, it was still a little dark and we saw the full moon, very nice. So that basically determines the release. One hormone is serotonin, that's your mood hormone. So if you want to feel good, make sure you're sleeping in those hours. And melatonin is called the fix and rejuvenate nighttime hormone. So it's melatonin that's responsible for the increase in healing in the night.
Insufficient sleep or insomnia can lower melatonin levels, leading to fatigue and brain fog. Prioritizing good sleep hygiene is crucial for rejuvenation.
Now, there's a saying in among the circles of people who study the brain that nerves that lie together fire together. And what they have found in the filing system is it's not a haphazard file. All the files are in perfect order. Isn't that incredible? In fact, I read one book, While We Sleep, by a neurologist, Dr. Matthew Walker. He's an atheist. You know what he said in the book? It's almost as if sleep has an intelligence. And if I was talking to him, I'd say, well, you're absolutely right, mate. It's the great God of heaven that created this brain in the image of God. And God is not a God of confusion. He is a God of order. So even our memories are stored like in a filing cabinet. And all the negative emotions, they're actually put together, and all the positive ones are put together. Have you noticed when things go wrong, all the wrong things that you can remember come up? And when everything goes right, have you noticed everything goes right? Nerves that lie together, fire together. So there's a filing system that happens in the brain, and it appears that the way to file is often determined by dreams.
Barbara outlines 9 effective strategies to rejuvenate energy, such as prioritizing sleep, exercising regularly, eating a balanced diet, staying hydrated, managing stress, limiting caffeine and sugar intake, getting fresh air, avoiding synthetic fabrics, and practicing relaxation techniques.
So be mindful of the air you're breathing, be mindful of what you're eating, be mindful of how you breathe, be mindful of nose breathing, and also implement the exercise. And little by little, we find energy levels start to rise.
If fatigue persists despite these efforts, Barbara advises consulting a healthcare provider to identify underlying causes and develop a personalized plan for boosting energy levels. If you found this video informative, make sure to give a like, subscribe, and press the bell icon so that you won't miss out on any future videos.